The scorching Jordanian sun beat down on Dr. Elias Vance, sweat trickling down his temples as he squinted at the ancient facade of Al-Khazneh. Petra, the rose-red city, was his life's work. For 30 years, he'd meticulously excavated, theorized, and dreamed within its sandstone embrace. Today, however, felt different. A palpable tension hung in the air, thicker than the dust motes dancing in the morning light. His team, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager young minds, moved with an unusual urgency around the newly uncovered section of the Treasury's base. Just last week, during routine conservation work, a hidden chamber had been revealed, not carved into the rock face as expected, but meticulously constructed with blocks of an unknown dark stone. Dr. Zara Khan, his brilliant and often skeptical protégé, knelt by the opening, her gloved fingers tracing symbols unlike any documented in Nabataean texts. Her voice, usually calm and analytical, held a tremor. "Elias, these aren't local. And the craftsmanship? It's far more precise than anything we've seen from the period." Elias felt a jolt of excitement, quickly followed by a prickle of unease. He'd seen countless anomalies in his career, but this felt foundational. He looked out over the vast, silent expanse of the Siku, the narrow gorge leading into Petra. The silence seemed to hum with an unspoken secret, a narrative waiting to be unearthed. The discovery had already sent ripples through the international archaeological community, particularly among religious scholars, who saw every new find as potentially validating or challenging ancient texts. Elias knew the pressure would intensify, and with it, the scrutiny. A low murmur spread through the team as a small metallic object was carefully lifted from the chamber's dusty interior. It was a finely wrought compass, but its dial featured markings that bore no resemblance to any known astronomical or navigational system. A cold dread began to creep into Elias's bones. This wasn't just an archaeological find, it felt like an opening to something far more complex, a historical puzzle with pieces scattered across forgotten eras. He knew their lives, and perhaps the understanding of history itself, were about to be irrevocably altered. The desert wind whispered secrets, and for the first time in a long time, Elias felt truly out of his depth. If you're fascinated by ancient mysteries and want to uncover more, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter. The discovery of the unusual compass and the meticulously crafted chamber beneath Al-Khazneh sent the archaeological world into a frenzy. News snippets and speculative articles proliferated online, fueled by leaked photos and hushed conversations. Religious scholars, particularly those from fundamentalist sects, began arriving in Jordan, hoping to interpret the find through the lens of ancient prophecies and apocalyptic narratives. Dr. Elias Vance, however, remained grounded in scientific inquiry, even as the pressure mounted. The chamber itself, unlike anything ever found in Petra, was the true enigma. Its walls were smooth, almost polished, and embedded with faint geometric patterns that seemed to pulse under the glare of their portable lights. Zara, meticulously cataloguing every artifact, presented her initial findings. "The stone is not local sandstone, Elias. Geochemical analysis suggests it's from an obscure volcanic region in the far north, a place not traditionally linked to Nabataean trade routes. And the age, carbon dating is proving difficult, but preliminary estimates push it back far beyond Petra's accepted founding." Elias rubbed his temples. This wasn't just an anomaly, it was a contradiction to established historical timelines. The implications were staggering, threatening to rewrite chapters of human civilization. He imagined the headlines: "Petra older than we thought. Lost civilization beneath the Rose City." Their work was constantly interrupted by visits from officials from the Jordanian Department of Antiquities, each more demanding than the last. anxious about the international attention and the potential for unrest. There were also the self-proclaimed prophets and interpreters, attempting to force their narratives onto the scientific findings, causing friction with the security detail. One evening, as the desert sky blazed with stars, Elias found himself staring at the peculiar compass. Its non-traditional markings seemed to mock their understanding. "What did they use this for, Zara?" he mused aloud. "It's not for navigation as we know it. It's almost conceptual." Zara, equally perplexed, suggested, "Perhaps it's a key, Elias. A key to something we don't yet comprehend." The desert night was cool, but a shiver ran down Elias's spine. The secrets of this chamber felt ancient, powerful, and deeply unsettling. The next few days blurred into an intense cycle of excavation, analysis, and frustrating meetings with bureaucratic officials. The dark stone chamber yielded no more artifacts, but the enigmatic compass became the focal point of their investigation. Dr. Zara Khan, with her exceptional linguistic skills, pored over the symbols etched onto its surface. She worked tirelessly, comparing them to obscure scripts, ancient astronomical charts, and even forgotten alchemical notations, but to no avail. The symbols remained stubbornly unreadable, a mocking challenge to their collective knowledge. Meanwhile, external pressures escalated. Religious groups organized protests outside the archaeological site, demanding access to what they called divine revelations. News crews, hungry for dramatic headlines, broadcasted these confrontations, portraying the archaeologists as gatekeepers of sacred truths. The Jordanian government, keen to avoid an international incident, tightened security around the site, but the atmosphere remained volatile. Elias, constantly fielding calls from ministers and universities, felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. This wasn't just about preserving history, it was about navigating a cultural and political minefield. One afternoon, during a momentary lull in the chaos, Elias found Zara hunched over the compass, a look of intense concentration on her face. "I think I have something, Elias," she announced, her voice strained but triumphant. "It's not a language in the traditional sense. It's a numerical sequence encoded within the geometric patterns, a cipher." She pointed to a series of subtle variations in the line thickness and curve of one of the symbols. "It's incredibly intricate, almost invisible to the naked eye." Elias leaned in, his heart pounding. A cipher, a puzzle designed to be solved. This was the breakthrough they desperately needed. But what message did it hold? And who could have crafted such a sophisticated code thousands of years ago, in a place seemingly isolated from advanced civilizations? The desert winds howled outside the reinforced tent, mirroring the storm brewing within Elias's mind. The solution to the cipher held the promise of uncovering an even greater mystery, one that could redefine their understanding of human history. Zara worked feverishly for 2 days, fueled by strong coffee and an unwavering determination. With a complex array of algorithms and historical mathematical models, she finally began to unravel the compass's intricate cipher. The numerical sequence, once deciphered, didn't reveal a name or a message, but a set of precise astronomical coordinates that pointed not to a star or a constellation, but to a specific location on Earth, a location remarkably close to Petra itself, yet completely unknown to them. The revelation sent a ripple of excitement and apprehension through the team. "It's a map, Elias," Zara declared, her eyes wide with a mixture of wonder and trepidation. "A map embedded in a device that looks like a compass, but points to a place, not a direction. And it's not on any modern map, nor in any ancient texts we've ever studied." Elias felt a thrill of discovery, mixed with a growing sense of foreboding. What kind of secret could be hidden so meticulously for so long and with such advanced foresight? The coordinates, when plotted on a detailed topographical map of the region, indicated a remote, almost inaccessible wadi, a dry riverbed, several kilometers east of Petra, hidden deep within a treacherous labyrinth of sandstone cliffs. The news of the decoded coordinates, even kept under strict wraps by the team and the Jordanian authorities, began to leak. The religious factions, sensing a major discovery, intensified their presence, now demanding that the divine map be handed over for their interpretation. This led to a tense standoff with the increased security forces, raising concerns about potential violence. Elias knew they had to move quickly. The window of opportunity to explore the coordinates discreetly was closing rapidly. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him. This was no longer just an academic pursuit. It was an expedition into the unknown, a journey that promised to either redefine history or unleash unforeseen consequences. The desert, with its vast, indifferent silence, seemed to hold its breath, waiting for their next move. This mystery is only just beginning. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow the story as it unfolds. With the coordinates secured and a growing sense of urgency, Dr. Elias Vance and Dr. Zara Khan assembled a small, discreet expedition team. They comprised a seasoned local guide, Tariq, whose knowledge of the treacherous Petra hinterlands was unmatched, and two robust security personnel from the Jordanian Department of Antiquities, tasked with ensuring their safety and the secrecy of their mission. The decision to keep the expedition small was deliberate, aiming to minimize attention from both the media and the increasingly agitated religious groups hovering around the main Petra site. The journey was arduous. The wadi was indeed remote, its entrance concealed by a natural rock formation that blended seamlessly with the surrounding cliffs. The oppressive heat of the day intensified as they navigated the narrow, winding paths, the sun reflecting off the sandstone walls, creating an almost blinding glare. Elias felt the grit of sand against his boots, the taste of dust on his tongue, and the steady throb of anticipation in his chest. Zara, ever the pragmatist, meticulously cross-referenced their GPS readings with the compass's cryptic coordinates, ensuring they stayed on track. Tariq, silent and watchful, led the way, his eyes scanning every crevice and shadow, acutely aware of the dangers that lurked in the remote desert. As they delved deeper, the wadi became narrower, the cliff faces rising higher, blocking out the direct sunlight. An eerie silence descended, broken only by the crunch of their boots and the occasional cry of a distant bird of prey. The air grew cooler, and a sense of isolation settled over them. They were truly alone, far from any semblance of civilization. Then Tariq stopped abruptly, his hand raised. He pointed towards a subtle irregularity in the sheer rock face ahead. It wasn't a natural formation. It was a faint, almost invisible seam, meticulously carved into the rock, blending perfectly with the natural contours. Elias and Zara exchanged a look of astonished realization. The compass hadn't just pointed them to a wadi, it had led them to a hidden entrance, an architectural marvel concealed by millennia of erosion and deliberate camouflage. The secret, they realized, was far more profound than they could have imagined. The hidden entrance, a masterpiece of ancient engineering, was almost impossible to discern. It was a massive stone slab, perfectly fitted into the cliff face, appearing as nothing more than a natural part of the rock. It took hours of painstaking work, using a combination of ancient techniques and modern tools to finally dislodge it. As the heavy slab ground open, revealing a gaping maw of darkness, a gust of cool, stale air rushed out, carrying with it the scent of dust and ancient stone. Elias, Zara, and their team ventured inside, their headlamps cutting through the absolute blackness. The passage was narrow, winding steeply downwards into the earth. The air grew heavy, thick with the silence of centuries. The walls, unlike the rough sandstone outside, were smooth and precisely cut, echoing the craftsmanship of the hidden chamber in Petra. Elias ran his hand along the cool stone, a sense of awe washing over him. This was no natural cave. It was an artificial structure, a monumental undertaking by a people unknown. They descended for what felt like an eternity, the passage twisting and turning like a subterranean labyrinth. The feeling of claustrophobia was intense, but the thrill of discovery propelled them forward. The security personnel, though outwardly stoic, exchanged nervous glances. Even Tariq, usually unflappable, seemed on edge, his senses heightened by the oppressive darkness and the unknown. After what felt like kilometers, the passage suddenly opened into a vast, cavernous space. Their headlamps danced across a breathtaking sight, an enormous underground city carved entirely out of the rock. It was a colossal network of chambers, corridors, and even what appeared to be public squares, all illuminated by an ethereal, bluish light emanating from phosphorescent minerals embedded in the ceiling. This was not a small settlement. It was a lost metropolis, hidden beneath the desert, untouched by time. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming, causing a profound silence to fall over the team. Elias felt a profound shift in his understanding of history. This wasn't just a new discovery. It was an entirely new chapter, demanding to be read. The discovery of the subterranean city was a moment that defied comprehension. It stretched out before them, an architectural marvel preserved in near-perfect condition. The bluish glow from the ceiling cast long, dancing shadows, giving the ancient structures an otherworldly aura. Elias and Zara, their academic rigor temporarily forgotten in the face of such grandeur, wandered through the silent streets, their minds reeling. The city was clearly designed for sustained habitation, with complex irrigation systems, communal spaces, and even what appeared to be public archives. The architecture was unlike anything known to ancient civilizations. It possessed a minimalist elegance, with clean lines and geometric patterns repeating throughout, mirroring those found on the compass. The buildings, though carved from solid rock, had an organic feel, as if they had grown from the earth itself. They found no skeletal remains, no signs of a sudden catastrophe, only the pristine, silent testament of a vanished people. The emptiness was profound, almost unsettling. Where had they gone? Why had they vanished without a trace, leaving behind such an astounding legacy? As they explored, the security guards, normally vigilant, seemed captivated by the sheer scale of the discovery, momentarily forgetting their immediate duties. Tariq, however, remained grounded, his senses alert to the subtle shifts in the air, the faint echoes that only an experienced desert guide could perceive. It was Tariq who noticed it first. A barely audible hum, a vibration emanating from the deepest part of the city. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but persistent. The hum grew steadily louder as they approached a colossal central structure, larger and more intricately designed than any other building in the complex. This was clearly the heart of the city, the source of the mysterious hum. A sense of awe, mixed with a growing unease, filled Elias. This was more than just a city. It felt like a machine humming with an ancient alien power. The historical ramifications of this discovery were immense, threatening to unravel millennia of established understanding. The secrets of this lost city are just starting to unfold. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon to be the first to know what happens next in this incredible archaeological journey. As they approached the massive central structure, the low hum intensified, vibrating through the soles of their boots and resonating in their chests. The bluish light in this area was more pronounced, almost blinding in its intensity, reflecting off the smooth, dark stone of the building. The structure itself was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It was monolithic, without visible seams or joints. as if carved from a single, impossibly large block of obsidian. Intricate geometric patterns, identical to those on the compass and the hidden chamber, pulsed faintly on its surface. A sense of profound mystery enveloped Elias. This wasn't merely a building. It was a monument to a technology or understanding far beyond their grasp. Zara, usually composed, was visibly trembling, her breath catching in her throat. This is beyond anything in our records, Elias, she whispered, her voice laced with awe. Tariq and the security guards kept a respectful distance, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and wonder. The air was thick with an unidentifiable energy, cold and yet somehow vibrant. At the center of the structure was a large circular platform, and on it a single glowing crystal. It was multifaceted, shimmering with an inner light that seemed to shift colors, from deep indigo to electric violet. The hum was emanating directly from this crystal. As Elias and Zara cautiously approached, they noticed that the platform had numerous depressions, perfectly sized and shaped to fit objects. One of these depressions was specifically shaped for the enigmatic compass. Elias, acting on instinct, slowly reached out and placed the compass into its designated slot. As it settled into place, a surge of energy rippled through the platform. The hum intensified to a resonant thrum, and the geometric patterns on the monolithic structure flared with light, moving and shifting like living entities. The crystal at the center pulsed violently, its light expanding to fill the cavernous space. This wasn't just an archaeological find, it was an interface, a control panel for something vast and ancient, now activated by the very object that had led them there. With the compass in place, the entire central structure came alive. The pulsating geometric patterns projected holographic images onto the cavern walls. Not images of people or events, but complex, swirling diagrams and intricate schematics. Zara, her eyes wide with comprehension, began to interpret them. It's a history, she stammered, but not of a civilization in the traditional sense. It's a record of scientific and technological advancement. And the diagrams depicted a highly intelligent society, not unlike their own, but focused entirely on understanding and manipulating the very fabric of reality. The projections showed how this ancient civilization, far from being mystical or supernatural, had developed an advanced understanding of geological forces, energy transference, and even the subtle manipulation of environmental conditions. Their city was not just a dwelling, it was a sophisticated, self-sustaining ecosystem designed to exist independently of the surface world. The crystal, Zara explained, was the core power source, harnessing geothermal energy from deep within the earth. The hum they had heard was the sound of this massive ancient engine running, albeit at a low standby level for millennia. The most shocking revelation, however, came from a series of schematics depicting vast climate shifts on the surface world millennia ago. It became clear that this civilization had foreseen a catastrophic environmental upheaval that would make the surface uninhabitable for a long period. They had constructed this underground sanctuary not as a retreat for a chosen few, but as a meticulously planned preservation project. A vast, automated archive of their knowledge, technology, and understanding, designed to endure until the surface became habitable again. They had not vanished mysteriously. They had simply left, entrusting their legacy to the future. Elias felt a profound sense of awe and humility. This wasn't about gods or prophecies, but about human ingenuity and foresight on a scale almost unimaginable. This was the ultimate time capsule, waiting for the right moment and the right minds to rediscover it. The truth unveiled by the ancient city was not a tale of lost magic or divine intervention, but of an incredibly advanced human civilization that faced an existential threat with unparalleled scientific ingenuity. They had not sought to escape or control the future, but to preserve their knowledge for it. Elias and Zara spent hours deciphering more of the holographic projections, confirming their initial interpretations. The city was a vast repository of scientific data, engineering marvels, and a deep understanding of sustainable living, all encoded in a universal language of mathematics and physics. The implications were staggering. This discovery didn't just rewrite history. It offered humanity a new blueprint for survival, a testament to what collective intelligence and long-term planning could achieve. The conflicts and anxieties surrounding the initial discovery, particularly from religious factions seeking mythical answers, now seemed trivial in the face of this profound, tangible legacy. Elias realized their most critical task was not just to study this civilization, but to carefully, responsibly, and ethically share its knowledge with the world. Returning to the surface, the team was met with a whirlwind of anticipation. The news of their prolonged absence had fueled speculation, and the religious groups, still present, were more agitated than ever. Elias, however, felt a newfound resolve. He would present the scientific evidence, the irrefutable data, and let the facts speak for themselves. The challenges would be immense, convincing a world often prone to sensationalism and dogmatism, and ensuring that this ancient knowledge was used for the betterment of all humanity, not for division or exploitation. As the sun set over the rose-red cliffs of Petra, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Elias looked back at the hidden entrance to the city. This was not the end of a mystery, but the beginning of a new chapter for archaeology, for science, and perhaps for the future of humanity itself. The desert, once a silent keeper of secrets, now whispered tales of unparalleled human potential. The full story of Petra's secrets has been revealed, but this is just the beginning of how it might change our world. If you were captivated by this incredible journey of discovery, please subscribe to the channel and join our community as we explore more untold stories from history and beyond.